But the piece that really moves me is the idea of creating access for everyone to use art as a tool for healing. All ages, all backgrounds, demystifying. Michelle Cassou is one of my teachers, and she says, painting is meditation. You are left with no point of reference. You don't have to copy anybody's way, no comparison with anything. It's a very courageous thing to do, just to show up. So my next value is that art is a powerful tool for personal growth and healing. And I can tell from this call that there are many folks who already believe this on this call. My other teacher, Stuart Cubley, that I continue to paint with, he says, we have to go through the muck to be fully uncomfortable. I add safe and uncomfortable, being with what is in the inner spaces, tuning into the feelings that you're having, letting them speak. So I work with kids, young children. For those populations, I'm preserving what they have innately already within them. I'm welcoming the parents when they pick them up to not compliment the children's artwork, to reframe, to say, oh, what is it? There's the top 3 of parents' response to children, right? Virginia, you mentioned you work with kids, I believe. I think it's children you work with. But we're used to saying, what is it? Oh, it's so amazing. So this superhero praising piece, right? And so again, it becomes a subconscious way of understanding and putting art making into place as to where it fits. Good, bad, right, wrong, fridge worthy, frame worthy, museum worthy, right? It's very layered. It's very complex. So we invite people to come as they are with whatever is inside them. And the children that I work with, I'm talking to them about breath work. I'm doing a lot of mindfulness meditation. They don't always realize what's happening, but we're just asking them to say, where in your life do you have quiet? What do kids say to me? What do you think kids say when I ask them that? Sleeping. That is their answer. They live in the house with other people. They're at school all day. They're in the car. Music is playing. Phones, cell phones, games. There's very few spaces, contemplative spaces. So it's offering children an opportunity to have a quiet space with paint, with collage, with movement, and keeping that sense, that purity that they have. And then there's teens. Oh, the teens that I get to work with. When they are invited to be in the uncomfortable, oh, the black and the red. I fill those containers very high when I have my teen classes to grow up in a world that is so complex right now and very, very trauma-inducing for all of us. But the teens right now, we can't understand what that's like to grow up in a world where each day they're getting news that is so profoundly disturbing. It's their norm. So for them to be invited into a quiet space that's a cell phone free zone is very powerful. So we've gone from preserving to maintaining. And for the adults, what are we doing for you, right? We are reminding what it feels like, no matter how much more sophisticated and our frontal lobes are fully formed for the most part, right? We are reminding us to go and access a place of freedom and spontaneity within our adult selves. A powerful tool for personal growth. All right, process over the end result, which I've already spoken to a little bit here, but I'm going to read to you. Actually, I'm going to ask a volunteer, please. I don't want to be the only one talking tonight. That gets very boring. Who's going to volunteer for me here?
Okay, hi, I'm Amy.
Hi, Marilyn.
I'm here with Marilyn. When I paint, I feel warmth and courage. When I paint, I feel like smiling. When I paint, I am focused. I am clear. I am alive. I forget. I remember. I am in love. I tell a story. I listen to my heart.
Thank you so much. I didn't get your name next to Marilyn.
I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy. Welcome. So this is just an example of, I have hundreds of these sharings that I oftentimes at the end of class, I might invite people not to critique their work, but to come together as a group after we paint. I don't just offer painting classes. I'll talk more about that. What are some of our offerings at the studio? I just wanted to get through some of the core values and use that as a tool of telling you what the space is. And we can answer some questions as well. But at the end, I'll often ask people to sit in front of their image. And I might say to them, write 10 sentences that start with tonight. Right? So it's a shift from the left and right brain thinking, but they just share what their painting is telling them or what their collage is telling them. And it's profound what you hear people are experiencing. So when you have a student who comes with particular art background, those are the hardest to crack. The process over end results, coming with the idea of, what do you mean I can paint anything? But it's trite, or it might be silly, or what if someone judges me? I mean, there's so many what ifs, right? I could ask you to put that in the chat and it'd be very long. So much of what I'm doing for folks when I am facilitating a process painting or present moment painting class, another word is intuitive painting session, is I'm there as a coach. I'm there as a guide to be there for people when they have a moment of stuckness. Oftentimes, if I put my hand on their shoulder and I say, what would it feel like if you could dip this brush into any color you wanted and it didn't matter where it went? And a person might just completely have a spiritual overflowing of tears because they just don't know what that would feel like to touch that inner place in that way, like a child can do with tremendous freedom. So we talk about that space. Other people are in there who are sharing an experience, coming back into a painting week after week, the same painting potentially, and just being reminded that there is no too silly. If you want to do a self-portrait and it looks like Yoda or a toad, that's okay. It's about feeling the portraitness, feeling the embodiment and the energy of whatever it is coming from you, almost a spiritual plumbing, if you will, working on letting go of what people think and the ego. It's very challenging, but that's where mindfulness meditation comes in, and we talk at the beginning, at the end of every class. I hope I spoke enough about process over end result, but all right. So creativity as an essential part of community. Another student shares that creativity expands through us. Creativity allows us freedom and courage, knows no bounds. Creativity is challenging. It's revealing, enlivening, and enlightening. Creativity is dynamic. These are folks who are not writing a poem. I did not set them up to say this. I just said, okay, write fast. Write the first thing that comes out of your mouth, as many sentences as you can that begin with creativity. And this is what comes forth. And it speaks to creativity being an essential part of community. As I began opening this space, I've connected with the City of St. Louis Park Equity Inclusion Departments, Radius Guests, and St. Louis Park Friends of the Arts, getting folks in here, trying to make it accessible to all, which I'll speak to as well. But I really am welcoming, as part of this call as well, collaboration and recognizing that there is healing. There are vision boards, there are community building opportunities within this space and any creative space that we have. And so I truly feel that it's an essential part of community. And where we live in, where the studio is in St. Louis Park, it's a very diverse part of town, with many different religions and ages and backgrounds economically. It's a very diverse area on Minnetonka Boulevard in Ottawa, next to City Hall. That was a picture of a teen class right there. It's amazing, those teens, they are not afraid to get that out there. So collaboration and inclusivity. Molly Sturgis, who I don't know if any of you heard Molly, she spoke at the Bakken Center for Spirituality and Healing at the University of Minnesota last couple of weeks ago. But if you want the recording, it was phenomenal. And she works with creativity as well and healing. And she says creativity is a life force that moves through each of us and is unique. It points toward our wholeness, ignites us as collaborators, tenders, where infinite possibilities lie, embodying the mystery, soul work. So I'm going to ask you, what does collaboration and inclusivity mean to you? Because that brings up different things. And I'm going to ask us to say out loud, because again, it's only a few of us here.
This is Virginia. Sometimes collaboration, for me personally, feels a little daunting, a little scary to do. It's for lots of reasons that we probably all understand, but as adults, but boundaries come to mind, and I'm not sure where all that, how to navigate all that, I guess. And but it is usually, once experienced, quite liberating, I think.
Thank you very much for speaking to that. So collaboration and inclusivity can span a variety of community needs. And so as far as inclusivity goes, my immediate goal in the first year was to reach out to as many organizations as I could around racial equity and racial healing circles, senior living facilities near me. I have a lot of programming that I've already done with people with special needs, adults and teens. And if there's limitations in the space around wheelchair access, things like that, or physical or mental limitations, then I go to the communities in their spaces. So that's been a very rewarding and surprising. In the first year, a lot of people have reached out to me in the inclusion community. So I'm looking at time. So speaking again to affordability and accessibility, St. Louis Park Friends of the Arts, if not everyone, even if you're not a resident of St. Louis Park, they have an Arts for Life grant where people can just call them up, apply for a particular class of mine. If I'm having a 6-week series and it's not something that you can afford, they will pay for it. It's very easy to do. You just call them up and they help you fill it out, and they will pay for the class directly to me. For those folks who there's a barrier in computer access, things like that, I offer sliding fee scales. I offer pay what you can. And there are folks who can pay above, and it helps to even things out. So that is something that is very important to me as I look at other programs in the Twin Cities. They're not offering that, and it's really hard. So please spread the word to folks who may not find this, as it's a privilege to say, oh, I have time in my day. I have 3 jobs. People have scoffed at me. Like, I have time to go take an art class. But when I reframe it to them, they think, wow, self-care. This is an opportunity for me to have self-care. And how many times I've had students say to me, oh my goodness, this is so much better than therapy, or this is so much better than a massage. And it's a fraction of the cost. So as we already discussed, accessibility in the field of art and expression is not only about a physical or mental limitation. It can also mean providing ways for everyone to have creative access in different ways. So, and then to impact across differences in culture and life experience. I have a lot of conversations with people, and just having the conversations and hearing what comes up for folks, getting people there, trying to offer one-day drop-ins, whatever they need to come there and see what happens when they meet this place of fear, trepidation, panic. I think someone said panic. And everyone is comfortable. So really trying to reach out and cross places that may be unfamiliar for folks and try to bridge that gap from when you're a child or you're those with skill or talent, perceived talent, and really inviting people to come in and bring their grandchild or bring their parents or bring a best friend and just dive in together with openness and curiosity.